Welcome to the Scottish Highlands on the banks of the Loch Lomond. You join us for a special edition of the Hoka Highland Fling Race, which this year is hosting the UK and Scottish Ultra Trail Championships. Solo and relay competitors are getting ready for the gruelling 53 miles along the West Highland Way from Milngavie to Tindrum. After yesterday's heavy snowfall, it's going to make the conditions underfoot even more challenging for what is a tough race. For the elite competitors, this is a key race in their racing calendar, with it being the British and Scottish Championships, and they will be gunning for a victory tomorrow morning.
Early on Saturday morning, competitors and spectators all gathered here at Milngavie Station just north of Glasgow, ready for the start of the 2016 Hoka Highland Fling. Conditions, although it's been a changeable week, have now settled out a little bit and it's nice and cold and clear, and it looks like it will stay more or less that way for the rest of the day. The final thing before the start happens is the race briefing from race director John Duncan.
Yeah, well, once again, we're proud to host the Scottish and the UK Championships, Ultra Trail Championships, which is quite exciting. So we've got the strongest field we've ever had, both men and women. Yeah, it should be really exciting at the front end. Plus there's a lot of other runners as well here to hopefully enjoy their day.
Good morning. Thank you all for making it to the 11th Hoka Highland Fling.
And after the last few bits of information there in the race briefing, competitors start to make their way over to the pens in the starting area. With only a matter of moments left to go before the race start, competitors wish each other good luck for what is going to be an extremely challenging day. Despite the early start this morning, we've got a great turnout of spectators to cheer on the athletes today, and everyone now is just waiting for that final starting horn.
For me, actually, I feel like I'm in a bit of a transition phase of my career. So over the next 36, 48 months, I'm really looking towards doing some really much longer things. And first and foremost, I'm a man of the mountains. My upbringing is in traditional fell running, hill running, and that's what I like doing. And ultimately, I'd like to do some long distance mountain challenges. So this is kind of a stepping stone on the way towards that for me.
A steady stream of ultra runners from all over the world follow the front of the pack out onto the course. As well as the elite runners who are leading the way, the Hoka Highland Fling is a popular event for ultra runners of all different levels and abilities, and like Joe Simmons, this may be their first race of this distance. As the trail leaves Milngavie, the scenery opens up and runners are treated to some really spectacular views. At the front of the pack, Kim, Donnie, Robbie and Joe are still running as a tight pack and trying to put a bit of distance in between themselves and the chasing athletes behind them. With an average pace of around 6:40 a mile, it doesn't take long before the front group pull away from the rest of the runners.
I mean, I have no intention of being first to the first couple of checkpoints. I have every intention of being first to the last one. I think that last bit, I've looked at splits from guys who run it before, and if you look at maybe the top 10 splits from people who run it before, Lee Kemp has the record. He was probably the 9th or 10th slowest to Ben Glass, but his last split, and it's a deceptively uphill section, isn't it? You kind of think it's rolling, but it's all uphill, and if you can run that, that's where it's going to make or break the race, I think.
There are some strong efforts being made to catch the front of the pack, Some of the competitors are already facing the consequences of this exceptionally fast start. It's Sally Fawcett that's leading the way in the women's race, with an average pace of 7 minutes 10 per mile. Shortly behind her you can just see Beth Pascal, who's currently in second place. As temperatures begin to rise, there's still a bit of frost left on the fields as they make their way towards the first checkpoint. And it's Robbie Britton that's leading the front group of 4 on their way there. In this early stage of the race, it doesn't look like any of these 4 are going to be dropping back and easing off the pace. If they can keep this going, there's no doubt that the course record will fall. But as we've seen before on the Hoka Highland Fling, it's often competitors who save their energy for the latter stages of the race who pull through to a strong finish. Amongst the group of runners who are chasing the front pack are Ian Lennon, Damien Hall and of course Jez Bragg. This is the first time that Jez has been back on the course since he took part in 2011, coming second in a time of 7 hours and 15 minutes.
You look at like previous races and how they've panned out, like there will be a leader through to like Benglas and Derry Darroch, and then there's a switch, and then there's usually just like a 2 or 3 minute gap between 1 and 2, and yeah, just trying to play out a smart race and just save some gas for the last section or 2, but it'll be hard because everyone will be trying to smash it up early on, no doubt.
Sally Fawcett maintains her lead in the women's race and is in good spirits as she makes her way towards the checkpoint. At this pace, Sally's well on track to beat her previous time of 8:38 from 2014, where she took second place in the women's race. Behind Sally, Beth Pascal maintains her second place, with Devon Yanko not far behind. Devon's in a strong position after her last race, taking first position at the American River 50 miler in a time of 7:10. Sophie Grant is maintaining a strong 7:25 a mile as they approach the first major ascent of the race, Conic Hill. At 361 metres, Conic Hill provides athletes with a fantastic view of what lies ahead. However, this is often where we start to see competitors start to struggle, particularly for those who started too fast. And it's here that we catch up with the front of the men's race. There's no sign of Joe Simmons, but Robbie, Donny and Kim are pushing on hard towards Balmaha. With most of the trail here being fairly runnable with the odd rocky technical section, these 3 are making quick progress. Only 2 minutes behind, Joe Simmons has now settled into his own pace.
Yes, I've let him go. Hopefully pick him off and set up ahead of the race.
Behind the leaders, positions have changed again, with Owen Lennon and Damien Hall pushing ahead of Jez Bragg. For experienced fell runner Sally Fawcett, this is a chance for her to gain some ground and extend her lead. But Sally's going to have to dig deep because hot on her tail is Beth Pascal, who's making the most out of this steep descent, where she overtakes several of the male competitors. Behind Beth, positions have changed, with Sophie Grant and Bonnie van Wilkenberg in 3rd and 4th respectively. On the descent, Lizzie Wraith looks comfortable and confident as she heads down to the banks of Loch Lomond. Of the 701 competitors who started, 33 have dropped out by this point, including Devon Yanko, who took a nasty fall on Conic Hill. After the descent of Conic Hill, the checkpoint at Balmaha provides runners with a welcome break. For spectators, it's a welcome point at which they can cheer on the competitors and take a look at the creations for the drop bag competition. As we return to the women's race, Beth Pascal has now caught up with Sally Fawcett as they make their way to Roedennen checkpoint. At Roden and checkpoint here on the banks of Loch Lomond, it's Donnie Campbell who's the first to arrive, with Kim and Robbie just a few seconds behind. All three of them take this opportunity to do a quick stop at their drop bags to refuel before heading back out onto the trail. It's Robbie Britton that is first to leave Roden and checkpoint, and Kim Collins is only 500 metres behind. No longer running as a group, we'll probably see tactics start to change as they make their way along the section to Inversnaid. So as they leave Roden and checkpoint, in first position is Robbie, followed by Kim and Donnie coming up in third, with only a 5-minute gap separating them from Joe Simmons. Damien Hall and Owen Lennon, who are still running as a pair, have made really good progress and are slowly starting to close the gap on the front runners. Jez Bragg is next to arrive, still looking strong, and it's clear that his sights are set on the second half of the race. With Joe Simmons unfortunately having to end his race at Benglass Farm, it's Donnie Campbell that maintains the lead on the trail towards Crianlarich. Unable to see the next competitor behind, he's going to be wondering who it is and how far away they are. As the trail gets back into woodland and starts to become more twisty and turny, Donnie wouldn't see them until they were side by side. And with that in mind, Kim Collison is only 3 minutes behind Donnie. Kim, who represented Great Britain and Northern Ireland at the IAU World Trail Championships in Annecy, will be well aware of what he needs to do to catch up with Donnie. Robbie Britton is next to arrive, and again 3 minutes after Kim Collison. Currently running for Team GB, Robbie is also ranked third in the world for 24-hour ultramarathon running. It's clear that all three of these athletes are having to dig deep to maintain the pace after an exceptionally fast start from Mulgai.
And next over the hill is Damien Hall, putting in a good pace there. He's obviously broken away from Owen Lennon earlier on the course. Currently averaging at 7:51 a mile, it won't be long till he catches up with Robbie, Kim and maybe even Donnie. After asking spectators, he was now aware of how small the gap was between himself and the next competitor, which gave him a boost to push on. Rain showers are now starting to make their way across the course, which is going to make things a lot colder for the competitors. Owen Lennon, that you can see there in the blue and white. And first in, managing to hold on to his lead after an exceptionally fast start, is Donnie Campbell. And in a time of 6:51.06, I'm sure Donnie is going to be exceptionally happy with that. First to congratulate him there is Lee Kemp, the previous record holder.
I knew the record was always going to go today. If you put so many good athletes in one field, and on a day like this, which is ideal running conditions, it was definitely going to go. It was a question of who was going to do it. Personally, I knew I had the potential to run under 7 hours. The question of if I could do it on the day was another question, but as I say, everything fell into place and had a great run up the side of Loch Lomond, so I can't really complain.
Favourite moment?
Crossing the finish line and sitting down.
Not far behind, taking second place, is Damien Hall in a time of 6:58.30.
Bit of a sort of happy, blurry dream at the moment. I ran a lot of the first half with Owen. I hope I'm saying that right. He was a really good guy and briefed me on the course a lot, and he was really good to run with. And then I love that technical section. I pushed on a bit there. But at the last checkpoint on 40 miles, I started to feel, my legs were feeling quite heavy and feeling my age a bit. But then I got news that I was only 3 minutes behind the next guy. I was in 4th place, and that would have suited me just fine. So that gave me a bit of boost. I didn't know who the next guy was.
Also beating the previous course record is Kim Collison, who finished in a time of 7 hours and 34 seconds. Kim quite rightly over the moon with that result there, which brings an end to the men's podium finishes. So that's Donnie Campbell in 1st, Damien Hall in 2nd, and Kim Collison in 3rd. As a rain shower moves over Tyndrum, it's Robbie Britton who's next to cross the finish line. It's pretty clear to see just how exhausted Robbie is there after an exceptionally tough day out on the trail.
I think I convinced myself to keep moving as long as I fell over at the finish. It was a kind of
That's a good deal.
With the devil. You can pass out a little bit after you've done. So I went for that. It's brilliant. It was a race. That's what I come here for. I come here to race people and got the opportunity. I had to go at it. And, despite deciding to start steady for the last 2 months, I set off fast still. It's exciting, and it always feels easy to be at the start of an ultra. So I went for it. I raced. I had a great time with Donnie and Kim. Going back and forth at a lot of the checkpoints, and they lost me on the lock side, but I could always see them. Kept going, and then just had a couple of low points where I'd pushed too hard early on. Got beaten by 3 better men today, and had a brilliant time. Really enjoyed it.
Finishing in the sunshine here at Tyndrum is Owen Lennon in a time of 7:27.51. And in 6th place, in a time of 7:38.58, is Jez Bragg. In the women's race, the first to run down that red carpet and reach the finish line is Beth Pascal. Beth's time of 7 hours, 52 minutes and 53 seconds, also beating the women's course record.
It went better than I planned. The main thing I wanted to do was not go off too hard, because I knew it was, fast course, and I think everyone was going to be pushing off really hard from the start. So I just made a conscious effort not to go out too hard. But I was just really lucky. I just felt really good the whole way through, really. I overtook Sally Fawcett, who came in second around the 25-mile mark, and she was looking really strong at that point. And I was expecting her to come back for me, and I was quite nervous for the rest of the race. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, like who's gonna come round the corner and power past me, because there's so many good girls doing that race. But luckily it didn't happen. I felt strong the whole way through. I knew they were going to have to be pushing quite hard if they were going to catch me, but you just never know.
Meanwhile, in the men's race, it's Donald McPartlin, Andrew Robin and John Connolly that you can see here, finishing all under 8 hours. Making a final push for the finish is Sally Fawcett, but it's not over yet because just metres behind her is Sophie Grant, and with less than a kilometre to go, it's not over yet. And just 4 minutes behind Sophie Grant is Lizzie Wraith. You can see her smiling there as she's closing down that final kilometre. And it's Sally Fawcett that crosses the line in second place in a time of 8 hours, 14 minutes and 12 seconds. Just under 1 minute behind Sally is Sophie Grant, who finishes in a fantastic time there of 8:15:02. Shortly followed by Lizzie Wraith in a time of 8:18:40.
The standard race today, particularly amongst the girls, I thought no one would ever beat. It goes 8:10. Beth knocked 18 minutes off it. Who'd have thought that? First 4 girls like beat it. Extraordinary stuff. Great for the race.
A good race really, all came together at the end. First 20 or so miles I was surprised to be up at the front. I expected more people to be around me, but it was just a steady pace that I was able to manage, just having a chat with people around me, so conversation pace, so it wasn't too quick. And then Beth caught me up 20 miles and we had a good chat for 3 or 4 miles, and then I needed to do an emergency toilet stop and Beth saw that as the opportunity to push on, and that was the last I saw of her. But my training this year has been geared towards that roller coaster, so I've been doing a lot of fell running, I've been doing a lot of more descending, and that was it. I put my plan into action and my legs were surprisingly good. I was amazed how strong I was feeling. I'd picked up some Hoka Benglass and that seemed to be the fuel that really worked for me today, and so I just went for it in that section. When I got to the road crossing, I was held up for a few seconds. It seemed like minutes, but I think it's probably about 20 seconds. And they told me that the girl in front was 30 seconds ahead. So I knew that Sophie, she'd overtaken me in the Snade section. I knew that she was in front of me, but I didn't think I'd catch her. But I carried on the momentum I built on that roller coaster and just slowly reeled her in. Got to 52 miles, overtook her and thought, that's it, she's not coming past me again. So I put the foot down last couple of miles, so it's the strongest I've finished an ultra, but I had to really work hard at the end. And then, yeah, once I hit the Pipers and the red carpet, you kind of want to slow down and take it all in, but I couldn't do that because I didn't know how close Sophie was, so I had to keep sprinting and keep really pushing it to the finish. But yeah, I'm delighted that my plan came into fruition really, and yeah, I finished as strong as I did, but there was no catching Beth today. I mean, it's a fantastic time that she's done, and she must have just ran so strong throughout it all, so yeah, hats off to Beth today.
Before you know.
What an amazing, exciting day of racing. We were expecting some amazing performances today and we truly got it. Both the men's and women's course records were broken. It was thrilling and exciting races where the lead was chopping and changing, where there was many casualties along the way, where those who were tipped to possibly win ended up on the sideline. We hope all those who weren't able to get the finish recover well and are soon back being able to race at the sport they so love. Thank you for watching.